Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. It's happened, guys. Year 8, Season 3, Title Update 1 has been announced in a Warriors Den that just happened today. I really enjoyed watching with you guys. Thank you to all of you who came to show up. I apologize for the weird audio issues. I think that was more an Ubisoft issue than my issue. But still, sorry that happened. But I really enjoyed watching the Warriors Den. There's so much that's coming in 2 days. Really excited to get down to it with you. So let's not waste any time. Let's talk about the new season coming to For Honor, Shield of Svengard. So obviously, based on the name and what you're seeing right now, you can probably tell this season is very heavily Viking themed. But not just Viking themed. We're getting the return of a character that people have been begging for ages. Ever since they started talking about hero skins and reworking hero looks and stuff like that, people have been saying we want a specific character from the campaign to come back, and they have done it, sorta kinda, with Gudmundur the Great as the new hero skin for Warlord. And let me just say, he looks absolutely goated. He looks just like he did on the campaign, looks absolutely awesome. They've edited his shield and weapon a little bit, but still, they look really cool. Very much a nod to Odin with these ideas. Looks really neat. And what they're essentially doing, and I want to hear the full lore on this, their version of Gudmundur here is more of a folktale version of him. Because Gudmundur died in the campaign. He's dead, so how could they possibly bring him back? It looks like what they're doing is they're basically making this like his folklore, mythology version of him. Like basically the bragged about, talked about, hyped up version of him that they've talked about in their tales and sagas. Because you know that's kind of what you do with your honored dead. You celebrate their life by telling stories about their past battles, their claims to fame. That's where you get sagas and stuff like that from. So that's what they're doing with Gudmundur here. Basically, he's the unbreakable shield of Svengard who kept on fighting despite all the odds. He's pretty awesome. So we're basically celebrating his funeral, his death, and his life with this season. And honestly, that's a creative direction to take. I was not expecting that, because I think it's a really neat way to explore the culture of Vikings, the culture of the Norse, and how they view death. I think that's really fascinating, and I'm really excited to see how they write the lore for this. As always, I will do a video where I break down the lore and talk about what I think about it, but I'm actually really excited to see it. But those of you who love Gudmundur and want his design for your warlord, and my hand is raised, I do want that, can't wait to get him when he comes out on Thursday. Now, we got a couple other changes, a very big one. The new Dominion changed map has come. Coming out on Thursday, we'll be getting a rework to Viking Village, redesigned for Dominion, and it looks pretty tight. It looks really cool. I'm showing you an image of it now, basically how they showed it to us. They've opened it up a little bit more, made it a little bit more spacious to allow minions to run through. They've allowed it to be moved around in a little bit more freely, and also they've added something kind of unique. In the Meyer version of the map, you can see the boat with the burning body of Gudmundur on it because, again, this is celebrating his funeral. But in the Ashfeld or Valkenheim version of the map, you will see a whale breaching in the water. And I'm kind of like, that's kind of creative. I like that. I like whales. Whales are cool. Whales are awesome, right? So that's going to be really neat. Can't wait to try out that game mode map. It looks fantastic. Actually, I'll be honest, it looks about as good, if not better, than the Cathedral map. And I was really stoked about the Cathedral map. So this is going to be very fun to play. So you guys who play with me sometimes in Dominion, can't wait to see you on that new map. It's going to be awesome. Also, we have some new armor customizations coming out for the Knights and Vikings specifically. I'm showing them on screen for you now. Now, I will say this. Though this season is very much Viking themed, the Knights have been cooking this season, and you'll see what I mean. The armor here for the Knights looks absolutely top tier. It looks so beautiful. They really killed it with the armor designs here. I love all of them. I think that they look great. I may not get all of them for my character designs, but honestly, they do look really good, and I can say with absolute assurity that Ubisoft killed it here. The Viking ones look fine, but if I'm being honest, I can tell they're having a little bit of trouble differentiating here and there. It may be time to give the Vikings some new, different armor sets rather than just, like armor variations rather than just new sets. And I also am still waiting for Valkyrie to show her face. Come on, guys. Let's get Valkyrie to show her face. If we can pull Highlander out of the dust and make him an amazing character, we can make Valkyrie have a pretty face, okay? All right. Now, with that talked about, let's talk about the Battle Pass weapons. Battle Pass weapons this time are absolute fire, all of them being animal-themed. The Knights have lions, the Vikings have wolves, the Samurai have the Kitsune, which is a basically multi-tailed fox, and the Wulin have a stag, it looks like. Meanwhile, the Outlanders just do their own thing, as the Outlanders love to do. But frankly, all the weapons look really good. I can't wait to get them. This is one of those few moments where I honestly can't think of any weapon set that made me go, eh. All of them look absolutely goated. Really excited to get them. So overall, cosmetically speaking and lore speaking, the season looks really good and really promising. And I mean, let me be real. The music is always killer in each season, but the music here was just top notch. It was different though, because normally with their new OSTs, they're always kind of intense or powerful or dangerous sounding. They get you pumped up. This one sounded more mellow, more ephemeral, you know, kind of something that really spoke to the soul. And that makes sense because this whole season is about a funeral and exploring the way the Vikings hold this funeral. One thing that I really wanted to see from For Honor, and I mentioned it in a few videos, is I wanted For Honor to explore the cultures of these people, the cultures of these warriors, and I think that we're starting to see that a little bit in this season, so I'm very, very excited. We're taking this in a more somber, kind of respectful, slow, careful direction, and honestly, I'm here for it. It looks really, really awesome. But let's be honest, y'all are really interested about the changes coming to the game, not just the cosmetics and stuff like that, as cool as they are. So let's talk about what's coming. First of all, we got a testing ground coming out on Thursday, but it's a very interesting testing ground. They're doing something new. They're looking at Warden's Feats. One thing that JC said he wanted to try to do is, as new heroes come out, they get unique feats specifically to them, but that's not the case with a lot of the OG heroes. So what he wanted to do was try to relook at some of the OG heroes who had feats that were probably outdated and not really specific to these heroes, and update them to fit the game, and he's starting with Warden and Warden only, and he's changed each of the feats accordingly. The first one is Death Toll. With Death Toll, gain 3 health points and 3 stamina points per soldier you kill, making Warden a lot more effective in the minion lane and allowing him to heal and gain stamina in a much more unique way. That's awesome. Second one is Inable. It decreases the attack of an enemy you shoulder bash by 20 for 10 seconds. Yes, you heard me right. If you shoulder bash an enemy with this passive feat, their attack power is decreased by 20 for 10 seconds. That's awesome and a great way to play in the gank. Then the third one is Full Recovery. When you revive a hero as Warden with this passive feat, they get all their health back. Not just half health, all their health back. That is crazy useful, and it's going to change the way that people look at Warden when he's going to revive a teammate. And then finally, he has Trebuchet instead of Catapult. Trebuchet works a lot like Catapult, except there's a slight difference. Trebuchet does 70 damage throughout its entire hit radius, and it only takes 1 second of activation. Unlike Catapult, which leveled out its amount of damage as far away from the radius as it was, so it started off in the middle with about 200 to 220 damage, and then went all the way out to about 25 damage at the very edge of its radius, and it took 2 seconds of activation. So Trebuchet will probably hit more times than not, but it will not do as much damage as Catapult, making it a little bit more versatile. But it does have a 180 second cooldown. So all in all these perks, well, sorry, I say perks, it feels a bit like I'm talking about Dead by Daylight perks, doesn't it? All these feats sound awesome, and I'm really, really interested to see how they play. But keep in mind, this is with the testing ground. These are not live yet. We are just testing these out. And JC wants us all to remind you that please, when you talk about your thoughts on the testing ground, please be as specific as possible. Don't just say, I don't like this or I like this. Be specific about what you don't like or you like about it, because the more specifics you can give, the better decisions they can make moving forward. So definitely go out there, play the testing grounds. I know I'll be doing it, and I'll be talking all about how awesome or unawesome Warden is after all this, but if I'm being honest, it sounds awesome. Warden's about to become a great assist and support hero. I think it's going to be great, and I'm there for it. All right, now let's talk about the patch notes. We got quite a few patch notes to talk about, so let's get right into it. First of all, Lawbringer. Yes, thank you. Lawbringer is getting the beginnings of his rework. They said there may be more to come, but this is what they've started with. Lawbringer now has a light, light, heavy combo. Yes, he can now do a light, light, heavy. He can't do light, light, light. He can only do light, light, heavy. That's the limit of his combo. However, he can perform a shove attack after any light. Whether it's an opening light, a second light, a closing light, he can follow up a shove after any light attack. This is going to make him a bit more versatile, allow him to apply more pressure, and allow him to throw in a few more lights a little bit easier so that he can actually get some pressure on his opponents. I like it. It's a good step in the right direction. I think he needs just a little bit more, but this is a really good step in the right direction. Peacekeeper's getting a change. She can now perform a heavy finisher after a dodge attack. They made this change because one thing they noticed is that if you dodge PK's dodge attack or block it, PK's kind of in a rut because she's stuck. She can't do a whole lot other than try to throw a light. So, what they've allowed her to do is throw a heavy finisher, which may be able to open up her opponent a little bit more and apply a little bit more pressure. And Centurion, his max punch, his big ultimate charged up punch, has decreased its time of activation from 900 milliseconds from 1,000 milliseconds. The reason they made this change is that smart players who knew that a fully charged punch was coming could do a quick dodge as they were charging up and then dodge again after the recovery to avoid the punch either way. They've made it so that the punch will come out quicker now so that way you can't pull that double dodge nonsense, making Centurion a lot stronger. Definitely good changes, and it goes back to what I said earlier. Even though this season was all Viking themed, all I can say is that, yeah, they really cooked this season for the Knights. The Knights are absolutely cooking. Now, aside from all that, we also have some changes in terms of feats. There are some feat adjustments on the way. The first feat that they're making a change to is Thrilling Comeback, which is basically a feat that allows you to regain health when you activate Revenge. Now it not only gives you health, it also cleanses you. It cleanses you of any ailments like bleeding or fire, and heals 40 HP instead of 20 HP, which makes this perk work a little bit better. Berserker now has a duration of 30 seconds instead of 15 seconds, making it less time dependent. Fiat Lux, which is the stunning grenade, now actually does 5 damage instead of doing no damage at all, which, that's fine. Tough as Nails has increased the HP it adds from 10% to 15%, making it a lot more viable. And Umbral Shelter, the big feat from Blackprior, is being nerfed. Whenever this feat was activated, it gave Blackprior and everyone around them a 100 shield per pulse. They've now changed it to a 50 shield per pulse. And you might think that's not fair, but keep in mind, it is a pulsing shield. It will have 50, then after a second it'll give you another 50, and then after a second it'll give you another 50. So that means that the players still have to think strategically. They can't just say, oh, well, I'm impervious for the next few seconds. Nope, you gotta keep thinking and keep playing strategically, which I think is totally fine. But that is all in terms of updates coming with the feats and the patch notes and all that fun stuff. I know it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but frankly, what JC said makes a lot of sense. They don't want to make a lot of huge bombastic changes right out of the gate because they want to give it time to see what these changes will do to the overall game overall. JC said that he is aware of people talking about how Sohei feels like they're underperforming, and they are aware of that, and they're looking into it, but they're not making any immediate changes right now. And I think that's fair. They've got to see what all can be changed, what realistically should be added, because think about all the time and energy that went into making Sohei. It makes sense that they'd want to be careful with how they adjust him. So definitely understand that. But overall, this season looks awesome. I'm going to be real. Year 8 has been a banger from Season 1 all the way up to Season 3 now. It is really great. From the Sword of Ashfeld to the Muramasa Blade and now the Shield of Svengard. I have really enjoyed the last few seasons, guys. This has been phenomenal. We haven't heard anything yet about what Halloween is going to hold for us, but I have a few theories, and I'm interested to see if I'm right about them. But hey, guys, this was awesome. Thank you so much for watching. And guys, I will see you on the battlefield. Take care.